Hi friends! New year, new balcony, and my balcony needs a makeover. So it's about time we put some more plants and make it look good. Come through 2022. So I've also been wanting to put a plant in one of the empty pots that I have outside. And I was gonna get something like vegetables or something, but I ended up getting a strawberry plant. So we're gonna do that. And we are gonna clean the balcony as well. Here's some candles to set the mood because we are going to get romantic with our plants, everyone. So romantic. I have to apologize in advance because construction is happening everywhere around me. So a lot of this is going to be voiceovers. So this is going to be some ASMR fun. So this is tree fern, and a lot of people in the plant community have been using this for anthuriums. So I had some handy and I want to try it with my plants. So just look at this hybrid. She is a fantasy, she is the moment, she is an icon, she's a legend. This is a Carla X Pap hybrid pop-off. Alright, so one of my favorite mediums for rooting plants, especially imports, is Sphagnum Moss, and it's a great medium for seedlings as well. I've had two in this container here, and one of them was getting really big, so I was like, let's use a tree fern to see how it goes. So right now I'm just removing the Sphagnum Moss gently from the roots. So one's going to remain in the Sphagnum Moss and the other one's going to try tree fern. We're not going to risk both plants in tree fern. Look at it. So good. Glittery fantasy. So I have a bunch of tree fern because I was reading a presentation from Jay Vanini, and he's a very famous person in the plant community with a lot of famous hybrids. And one of the things that he puts in his aroid mix is tree fern. So I wanted to try it as well. It is a very great medium, but I never tried it just 100% tree fern. So I want to see how this goes, and if it's successful, I'm probably going to move a bunch of other seedlings into tree fern. So I'm definitely taking my time with this process. I really don't want to disturb the roots too much, and I don't want really big air gaps with the soil media, so I'm making sure that it's loosely packed, but there's enough media in there as well. So that's what I'm doing. Take your time, girls. Take your time. So the tree fern that I have is very, very dry. I haven't used it in a very long time. So I'm assuming that she is very thirsty, so I'm giving the Anthurium a very thorough water, making sure the water drains probably through the container and just soaking it. And look at her, wet and looking sexy, right? So another thing that we are repotting today is this Maranta. I was gone for a weekend and it came back to a bunch of yellow leaves. I apparently left it too dry, and I impatiently and roughly took off a bunch of the yellow leaves, and in that process I broke this stem from the main plant. And being very, very lazy, I threw this into my Sphagnum Moss bin, and this is about 2 or 3 weeks after throwing it into the bin, and it put out a bunch of roots. And because I'm already making a mess in my apartment, I wanted to get this out of the way as well. So just like the Anthurium, I am slowly removing the Sphagnum Moss from the roots. And this is very therapeutic for me. I like to do this in front of the TV and just take off Sphagnum Moss from the roots. So I love to do that. And as you can see, there are 2 other little pieces of the Maranta in the bin. I obviously didn't learn my lesson, so those have been in there for about a week or 2 as well. They're not ready for me to repot, so they're going to stay in the Sphagnum Moss for a little bit, probably for a long time actually, until I repot them. So many minutes later, and I think I've gotten rid of most of the Sphagnum Moss. I do leave trace amounts of Sphagnum Moss on the roots, and it usually doesn't affect the root at all, but I think it's ready for it to be repotted into a very nice, chunky, well-draining mix. This is my general chunky aeroid mix that I use for most of my aeroids. It's got perlite, fir bark, charcoal, coconut bark. But because we are repotting the Maranta, which requires a little bit more moisture, I am going to amend it with some potting soil. And I'm not using anything fancy, I'm just using this bag of Miracle-Gro indoor potting mix that my next door neighbor gave me. Using this really cute scooper that I recently purchased, I'm using 2 parts of my mix to 1 part of the Miracle-Gro potting mix. Although I am a size queen, I went with the 4-inch pot because a 5-inch pot is a little bit too big for the current root system. So the 4-inch pot would be perfect, and when it's time for me to repot the Maranta, I'll go with the 5-inch, but the 4-inch right now is, I think, the perfect pot for us to go with. I was a little worried that I repotted the Maranta a little too soon, and I should have waited for a more substantial root system, but I'm doing this voiceover about 2 weeks after I repotted the Maranta, and the Maranta has a few crispy edges, but we know that Marantas are a little bit finicky, especially even if you look at her or move her, she's going to do something and act up. And right now she is going up and down with the sun rise and the sunset, so I think she is doing pretty well.
I've been feeling so down, yeah. Can you tell me why? I'm down, yeah. No friends of mine.
It's Sunday Funday, all the chores are done, the apartment's clean, I did a face mask, and the sun is out in Monterey. Did someone say winter? Like usually in Monterey, like it's usually very cloudy and gray, and it's kind of depressing, but the past few days and today it's very sunny. So I think the best thing for us to do is kind of explore and go, I don't know, explore the outside and be outside. So about a month ago, a brand new plant shop opened up, and the previous tenants were the Monterey Republican Party office, and now it's a plant shop. So we have to go visit and support it because I don't know, it's a brand new thing. I hope they sage the place because all that negative energy needs to be left behind in 2021 and 2020. But we're gonna go check out the plants and see what they have. I really don't need any more plants because if you can tell looking around me, I have way too many plants. I actually really need to get rid of them. And maybe some coffee. I could always need a little coffee pick me up. There's a cafe that I love and it's got a little nice seating area, so I'm gonna check that out. And maybe we'll just go be spontaneous and try new things. It's Sunday Funday and see where things take us. All right, let's go.
Disagree, don't tell me. Now you in infinity, we 98. Trust that he be good. On the ball like BB, don't make no mistakes. Got the faith. The 18 just not gonna be the same. Finna bleed down generations, not gonna be in vain. Too young. Why you gotta go? Why you gotta go? I just wanna know now. True now. Cry and get no, cry and get no. Hope you free your soul, hope you free your soul. I might have caught the June blues. Yeah, I wanna drown myself inside the juice. Yeah, you know I.
So another thing that slaps is this bakery. It's called Alta Bakery and on Del Monte. It's cute. Alta.
Why it's getting colder when the sun come out. Might just waste away, don't know what life about.
Hi, I was gonna get coffee, but I saw you have beer. Can I get an IPA?
Anything else for you?
That'll be it for me.
Iced oat milk matchas.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Just something you get used to.
I just realized this pumpkin in front of me is really, really huge. What do you do with this kind of pumpkin? Do you let it rot? Wait, is it even real? Or do you make pumpkin pies out of it? If so, how many pumpkin pies can you make out of it? I've been living in Monterey for over a year now, and the experience is not what I was expecting when I chose to come here for school. And partly, and actually most of it's because of COVID, because a lot of things are closed, and people want to stay away from each other, which I don't mind staying away from other people. I actually prefer that. But I've just been cooped up in my apartment and I haven't been really experiencing the beautiful Monterey where I live. I've been watching Big Little Lies on HBO and it's filmed in the area, so it's exciting to see all the places I've been on TV, and it kind of see where I live from a different lens, which kind of inspires me to go out and see new things. And that's the reason why I kind of wanted to do this kind of vlog format.
lightning-stricken cactus and it starts to rain. The smell of steamed asphalt, scented Novocaine. Nature's brew of all kinds of things. The mountain-sunk hills, sky-color schemes. Makes you forget about all types of things.